wasteland of metal and white stone. The factories in the distance glinted as if coated in liquid steel, and the clouds were so black she swore the rain would fall dark as coal. Panic seized her as she examined the skyline, white and jagged as teeth. All you know are stories, Enne told herself. And not all stories are true.
"Next,"
called the man at the customs table, and Enne hurried to his desk. He snatched the papers from her hands.
"Enne Salta."
She cringed at the sound of her full name. No one called her that but her teachers. The man wore round spectacles rimmed in faux gold, making his eyes appear magnified as they travelled from her face and slithered down her body.
"A Salta, eh? Then you're a dancer."
By the way he said dancer, drawing out the S sound and licking his lips, Enne knew he wasn't picturing her ballet at finishing school. Her cheeks reddened. City of sin, indeed. She was not that kind of dancer. She was a lady. He glanced back at her paperwork.
"From Bellamy, 17 years old. You know, you hardly look 17.
She flushed deeper and counted backward from 10, lest she say something indecent and break one of Lord's sacred rules. Ladies should never reveal their emotions. That was the first rule. The man checked the birth date on her passport, shrugged, and returned to her travel documents.
"Blood talent is dancing, of course. What is the abacus family talent?"
Arithmetic, she answered. Every person possessed 2 talents, one inherited from each parent. The stronger one was known as the blood talent, and the weaker was called the split talent. Enne's abacus split talent was so weak it might as well have been non-existent, as if all her ability had gone to pliés and pirouettes, rather than to simple math. The man scribbled her talents and family names into a grease-stained booklet.
"How long is your stay?"
"The summer," Enne said, trying to make her voice sound strong. School began again in September, and this was Enne's final year before graduation, before her debut into society. All her life she had perfected her fouettes, memorized her table settings, and obsessed over every salon invitation, all to graduate and earn the title of lady. She wanted it more than she wanted anything. It was all she'd cared about. Until Lords went missing. No matter how scared or how alone she felt, Enne swore to remain in this disgusting city until she found her mother, for however long it took. But secretly, selfishly, she hoped she'd find Lords before September. Without her debut, she wasn't sure who she was supposed to become. The man tapped his ballpoint pen at the bottom of the document.
"Sign your name here. If you can't write, just put an X. And if you can read, go ahead and verify everything."
The document was a horror of fine print. At the top of the page was a checkbox for those with talents of mysteries. During the reigns of the misers, the various kingdoms had required every citizen to be classified into one of 2 categories, based on their talents. Talents of aptitude and talents of mysteries. Both Enne's blood and split talent were considered talents of aptitude. Anyone could develop a skill in dancing or arithmetic, even if they would never compare to those born with a family talent. Talents of mysteries, however, couldn't be learned. Crudely put, they were magic, and even the miser kings, who'd had powerful talents of mysteries of their own, had considered them to be a threat. Before the revolution, there had been harsh restrictions on where people could live and who they could marry based on their talents. It was one of the many reasons the misers were overthrown. And so Enne was shocked to find such a classification in an official document in New Reynes, the Republic's capital, the home of the revolution. It was archaic, distasteful. She signed her name in her best calligraphic script, ready to move on. With a dreadful thud, the man pounded her passport with a wooden stamp bearing the Republic's insignia, a circle with a bolt of lightning inside, meant to resemble an orb full of volts. The signature